this room is really based on putting a lot of abstract painting and putting a lot of, the abstract painting in it though has some elements of, you know, you could see there's forms here that are obviously from nature. This one obviously has a lot of nature in it. And then I did put, there's a seascape here, and that's probably the only, I think that's the only landscape slash seascape that even got in the show. But I felt that it was strong, especially relative to conventional landscape. And then this is a figurative painting, but there's so much going on here. It's like a psychological abstraction. And there's a painting of swimmers over there, so that it's not all abstract. I wanted it. There's a painting over here of letters with a lot of letters collaged onto it with the silver in the back. And so I wanted it to be like a room where there was so much abstract painting to choose from, which obviously that more tells you more about me maybe than what's going on in LA or what got submitted. But I thought that this room, and we had talked about maybe having the bar here, maybe having a lot of sculpture in here, but I felt that this was like, again, if this was just a juried show, if this whole juried show was contained in this room, how could I make this? I mean, frankly, the room we're in now is bigger than my gallery in square feet. Okay, like I could not mount this show in my gallery just with the amount of wall space here. And so just this room, I thought, you know, how could I make this a curated show? So I tried to make this, and I look at abstraction really as, it's this catch-22 for it. It is, on one hand, if you're in the mainstream mall-going American public, abstract painting is still this very tough thing to break through. You just go, hey, if a third grader can do it, it's not art. And so, on the other hand, you have a large segment of the art world that they're over abstract painting. To them, abstract painting was this thing that happened in 1952. And so that they just look at it as like, oh, it's something from the middle of the 20th century, and if you do it, you're behind the times. You know, you're not doing conceptual art, you're not doing installation, you're doing abstract painting. Oh, I respect abstract painting from 1952. And so when you really look at it, I think abstractions almost become the new classical painting. It's like classical music in its you know, not having a grounded lyric or defined by a melody necessarily as like pop music is. But I look at abstract painting as kind of being the classical music of the art world now. But I certainly enjoy it. I always have. It's the first thing that I really responded to when I got into art in the early 1980s. And so if I have an affinity for it, and that's the worst thing you could say about me as a curator, then I'll certainly wear that with that shameful badge. But there is a lot of, as you go through the art, it's like you can't talk to your friends in the mainstream about abstract painting because they're not buying it. They think it's a con. You know, my kid could do that, it's not art. And then you turn around and you can talk to the PhDs of the art world about abstraction, and to them it's a historical anomaly. So, you know, it's kind of like this very lonely place, and I believe that abstraction really does come out of that certain sense of going beyond the verbal, which I think it's its most powerful thing, is I'm a word person, you know. I can talk and talk and talk, and often not say anything. But I believe words. You know, people get so into words that words define everything. So they want to condense your art into a defined box, of a prison of letters. And so I say, like, you know, you have to get out of that. And that abstraction's great thing is that it can go so beyond language, and when you connect with an abstract painting, it's as intimate an experience as you can have with your clothes on as possible. So I wanted to make this room sort of that, but I didn't want to make it the abstract room. I've got some representational stuff here, but I thought it all worked together. And this is probably my favorite room in the show, just with its there's a lot here that I feel like is LA right now, is Southern California. There's a lot of, or maybe America right now, of just, there's dark and bright. And the brights, we almost have to isolate and highlight because the gloomy part is so right under us. So I'd like to think there's a poetry in this room too that goes beyond just hanging 6 pictures up next to each other. I spent probably the longest time doing what I think, like trying to perfect this room as it grew. And this is like, if I was gonna have a show at my gallery, it'd be like, okay, this is something that I think is the most, I want to say harmonious. So,
Could you say one thing